Okay, this is OK here. This is a Crazy House World Championship match between Sexy I Know It and the match was originally scheduled for an hour later, for 1 p.m. GMT, and then moved last night to an hour earlier. And we just missed the first game, which was quite a short game, only 12 moves. So looking from the point of view of Sexy I Know It, what happened? There's an exchange. There's going to be an exchange of queens, and this I've seen this before. So in this kind of setup with littleplotkin, he has to be very careful of this exchange of queens because this is just losing for white. He could just he could go. I mean, he could go like here, but takes, and there's a threat of mate here, and he takes here, but then there's going to be simply bishop here and checkmate on g2. There's no way of stopping the mate on g2. So the problem with this opening is he both hasn't sealed off the h3 square, and he's allowed the exchange of queens. So game one goes to Sexy I Know It very quickly. So now we're looking at game two, and we should be live on lichess as well. And we aren't yet. Okay, so looking at game two so far, so looking from the perspective of Sexy I Know It, it's a sort of French defense. Ooh, so when he went e6, the knight could have been taken here, but white opted to castle. So I think that's a slight error, but maybe I'm wrong. I think there was an opportunity just to take that knight for a pawn, and black doesn't get the doubled f pawns, which are quite good safety in that position. So this is so black has sacrificed a knight for a pawn, but I know littleplotkin loves these sorts of attacks with queen and knight and a weak f2 square. But has he got enough? The white knight is still covering g3, but he could take this knight, and black probably doesn't want to. White probably doesn't want to exchange too much until he's got safe. So just going to see if I'm. Yes, I am now live on lichess. That's very good. Okay, so this is a Crazy House World Championship Candidates Match. So these are like the top 10 guys in the world. Sexy I Know It, famous. Well, he's been playing for since the site started practically. Since lichess started, he's been a great theoretical player of the game. Although he's played maybe less often. Recently, on this account at least. FIDE Master littleplotkin, we all know as he's a Canadian. A very good aggressive player. So the question is, has he sacked too much? So he's got a pawn, knight, and a bishop in these sorts of situations. He needs to keep initiative. If he doesn't keep initiative, I mean, white has got a queen for a piece and a pawn advantage, so maybe a slight material advantage for white, but the white king is quite weak. And basically g3 is the entry square, as you can see. This is a nice move because it both protects g3 and it tries to start an attack for white. And I should say, yeah, the world champion Jan Lee was supposed to be streaming this match, but they started an hour early, so I've just jumped in. Okay, so littleplotkin defending with the knight. And that's also interesting because notice how they're both targeting this g6 square and defending this. So g3 and g7 are sort of the entry squares for both. So these knights are who can kick the other's knight is going to be, and we have this sort of bishops as well. Okay, so that's going to be very interesting because if the pawn takes the bishop, that's going to be a very strong piece hitting g3. So it looks like black. It looks like black has had. So black was the first to attack g3, and it looks like black is going to be the first to lay lay a claim to that square, unless I'm mistaken. So despite black being material down, a queen down for a piece and a pawn, I think that square is going to fall. Okay, and littleplotkin recognizes that and goes straight away for a mate threat. Because the knight was pinned, queen at e7 is actually a mate threat. Takes. Okay, not sure if white's got. Yes, this is very cunning. If you take the knight, queen here is checkmate. So that's the issue with this move. And now, so the queen could come in now, but is there any follow-up? I don't see a follow-up. He's only got a knight in hand. His other pieces are not really working. Okay, the knight can just be taken. If he had a pawn, it would be very powerful. Pawn here. Ooh, he doesn't even take the knight. But he wants a pawn, so does he take a pawn? Yes, he takes a pawn. Now this is going to be key, because that pawn is landing potentially here, if he can afford to land it there. Whoa! That must be a wasted move. That's clearly a mistake. I mean, white could have landed a pawn here, for example. Yeah, he's got too much. A knight here and a bishop here will be made. Okay, so he's blocking. And maybe he thought the queen was going to cover the king, so maybe it wasn't a blunder. But it seemed like going on an attack was wiser from Sexu there. Okay, so the queen is again just trying to cover this, but oh, so he has to be careful because knight here is checkmate. Okay, so it wasn't entirely stupid. There are ideas. There are ideas, yeah. So white's very low on time, down to 2 seconds, 1 second. Fast, fast. Makes a move with 0.4 seconds on the clock. But I think this is going to be dangerous. Knight here and rook in the corner, for example, is a bit risky. Has to take it, and now there's a back. He loses the queen with check, so this is going to be finished. And that's checkmate, indeed. So, littleplotkin ties the match at 1 game all. The first game was rather disappointing. Littleplotkin just playing a kind of trying to avoid openings with g3, but he left h3 open and exchanged queens, and it's something he'd fallen for in previous matches. So he really needs to be more. It's like I know I myself repeat the same mistakes in the opening as someone who doesn't. There are certain themes that you have to really be careful of in the opening, and so yeah, littleplotkin, really amazing player, but he does sometimes make very basic mistakes in the opening. And Sexy, I know it, is a very theoretical player, so he's not one to make mistakes against. He'll capitalize. So just to recap this one, e4, e5. So this pawn is so I guess he's blocking off any attack on f7, but okay, so he's going for he's letting e4 hang because he's going for an attack on f6, which is a bit of a problem because if knight takes knight, pawn takes, bishop takes, then the rook would also be hanging. So if anyone new joining us, this is a Crazy House World Championship Candidates Match. 2 of the best players in the world playing up against each other. And I do a lot of commentary on these matches, which you can find, as well as other Crazy House content, on my YouTube. And we do lots of discussions as well on Discord. And so I'll just put up those links. And if you're new to Crazy House, I should say there's that's a guide to That's a beginner's guide to Crazy House link that I'm just posting in the chat. Which with lots of links to others. That was written with by myself with M. Michael and LazyMD, but it has lots of links to other content elsewhere on the web, such as the guide by Krosky, the guide by Master Tan about light and dark squares. So Crazy House is quite a tactical game, but you have to be careful about positional weaknesses as well, because if you have an entry square in your opponent's position, that okay. So h3, because it's defended by the bishop, he's trying to enter into white's camp via g2. This move here is basically both blocking this off and also creating potentially a weakness on f7. So we're going to see that. He's even giving up the queen so as not to weaken f7. Very interesting. So now black has 2 pawns, but is it wise? That's the question. Black has 2 pawns and a knight, so he could take the rook, although the queen would take back. It would take material. Yeah. So in terms of material, that looks good. So you've lost the queen, but you've won quite a few other pieces. So you've won, is it a rook and a rook and a pawn, is it? Yeah. So it's a rook and a pawn for the queen. So white's got an extra queen, but black's got an extra rook and a pawn, and also a hole. Now this is a creative move. Wow. So the idea is if rook takes bishop, pawn drop here, king takes, knight here, and the queen will be landing on this square. And together with the knight on this square, this will surely be mating. So bishop at f8, wonderful move from littleplotkin. I can't fault it. If rook takes f8, that is surely mating, because the king would be would be trapped by the rook on c8. King couldn't even run. It would surely be mate. So this is wonderful play from littleplotkin. Just winding back just a few moves. He sacrifices on e6, and I told you f7 was a really dangerous square, and so it's proving. Okay, he's taking the knight. Oh, this is cruel. This is very nice because. Okay, so if he took the knight, he would take back and promote to queen. If he doesn't take, he's getting in on f7. So queen is landing on f7. The king has to come up. So I can't see the mate immediately, but yeah, no, queen on f. Why not f7? That's surely a mouse slip. Because queen f7 and takes e6. Okay, maybe he's seeing something else. Maybe he was thinking it's more defensive, but he could still go bishop here. What? What? Why queen takes pawn? Why not bishop here and then king drops back? Oh, maybe the king then runs away. My goodness. So knight here takes. Maybe he's afraid of the king running out. Black resigns, but no concrete mate found. I think I'm just going to open that in a new tab, see if there was something more concrete. I'm sure there was. So just to wind to the end here, so looking from littleplotkin's perspective, yeah. So queen at f7 was surely stronger, with the idea of you play something like this to seal off this square, and even if he pushes to give himself an escape square, queen takes pawn is checkmate. And then at the end, I guess black figured he was out of ammo. There's no attack with queen takes pawn, but queen takes pawn felt wrong because yeah, bishop at e7 is mating. So let's just run through the line. King d7 forced. Oh, bishop takes pawn. I hadn't seen that. That stops the king from running away to this square, and you can even bring the other queen in. Okay, takes, and that's checkmate. So that's yeah. So there was a nice mate there as well. Okay, so to return to the games, this is game 4. Littleplotkin leading by 2 games to 1. So he lost the first game, but he won the next 2. And it's another French defense. And I'm really surprised by this move castles, because it feels correct to take the knight. But 699, he really knows his theory. So, but the one difference is he's playing h3, because the last time he was white, black sacrificed on h2 and got a big attack. So 699 playing like this. And so his idea is if you take back, open up the rook file. So it's too dangerous to take. So he doesn't even want to take it. And littleplotkin, yeah, getting a nice attack going. His plan is to take on f7 and then take the knight. Or if you take with the king, then the king is being drawn out into the open. Okay, so we see the sack on f2. Okay, so I was just notifying people on Discord that this, in case anyone didn't know that this match was happening, because it did start an hour early. So just to rewind a few moves, so we had this threat on f2, comes in with this pawn, very nice, and yeah, I can't, I'm doing crazy house here, not 3 check. So I'm afraid I can't, and also I'm doing commentary, so I can't take any challenges. So I don't know why that came up. Okay, so he's hitting the. So why does he give up his queen? I guess he thought it was difficult to block, but. So it's a minor piece attack. I wonder if black is slightly short though. So in terms of material, white is like a full queen up. In terms of position, white is got a rather nervous position. This square being the key square, and it's black's move. So Wally Wombat says pawn at f3. I like that move because if you take the pawn, you're getting your queen back at least. Unless you're getting mated, it's a nice move. So is it too slow? Is it only worry? But no, I think it looks nice. And I wonder why it doesn't do something like pawn at g2 there. But yeah, Sexy only has one pawn, and pawns are really, really important attacking pieces. And I mean, this is in this position where your h3 pawn is hanging, g2 is a huge weakness. You'd think put a bishop or a pawn on g2 to defend, but he goes straight in for an attack, and maybe it's the right thing to do. We'll see. He's going to be promoting. He's got a queen in hand. He might be able to clear the rook off the back rank. Yeah, this looks bad. Probably queen drop here. Yeah, queen drop there was the only hope, and it doesn't work. Just delays by one move. So very good game from Sexy I Know It, tying the match at 2 games all. And we see this opening again from littleplotkin, except this time Sexy I Know It, instead of playing d5, goes for a different move, knight to e5, just switching it up a bit. Because the game 2 games ago he did indeed lose, so he's changing it up. I think that's littleplotkin is going to really so Sexton has really got a very broad knowledge of the opening. So that's the one phase of the game where littleplotkin has to be wary. And we have 26 viewers on Twitch via Lichess. So I've been doing a lot of these Crazy House World Championship commentary streams, but usually I'm used to only having, say, six to 10 viewers because I haven't been featured on Lichess in the past. And so I've probably got about 4 days worth of videos up on my YouTube. So do check out the YouTube, OK's Crazy House. Like, I can post the link again. Do subscribe to the YouTube because there's a lot of wonderful content there. And it's a shame it wasn't featured in the past, but because these days I'm going to be a bit more busy and have less time, but at least it's featured now, so it's nice. Okay, so this square is controlled, so I think a drop here is going to be called for, a pawn drop. You don't want to let this bishop diagonal stand, because otherwise there'll be a pawn drop on d7. Since this square is controlled, you have to drop something here. If you dropped a piece, he can still do that. He can still take, but so you could conceivably drop a knight. But a pawn seems like a sensible option. And of course, if white had a knight, then a knight here would be annoying because then that pawn drop would be not so good. But white doesn't have anything much in hand. Okay, so white is just developing, and black should probably do the same. Okay, so he's got a knight. Okay, I see. He doesn't take back, so maybe he's afraid of some kind of tactics. So you can't take the knight. So you have to bring the king up, but then there's going to be an exchange of queens and a queen drop here. Okay, I'm not. So you have to defend the queen, or this is going to be hairy. Is there another knight check? No. So it looks like king here, queen takes queen, king takes queen, queen at d7 check, king takes knight. And you've still got a knight and a pawn, so you could still go pawn here check, king here, knight here check. But the king can still go here, and so yeah, I'm not seeing. Oh, yeah, knight here is possible, but then king takes pawn, knight takes pawn check. So that at least gets safe. So we're seeing this line going to be played through. So, but littleplotkin will probably do better than me because he might actually find the mate. This is a case for pausing. Do you really want to give up the knight? And I think, interesting. So he noticed that was a way of preserving the knight, because if king takes knight, queen, is it mating though? Queen here, king takes knight, knight takes pawn. So it's a I was trying to work out if, so this is going to be mating for sure. If the queen can just get, yeah, the queen, this will be mating for sure, even just pawn here, king here, queen here, and queen takes pawn. Will be checkmate. Oh, sorry, bishop's guarding. Got to be careful. Got to be careful. Just queen takes this pawn. So the dark squares are covered though, so you've got to be a little bit careful. So he brings the bishop in. But this is a nice, really nice little tactic, this knight f6 from littleplotkin. Just question is it a mating tactic? And you have to be careful because knight at e2, king h1, pawn takes pawn is going to be, yeah, maybe not immediately mating because f4 is covered, but dangerous, very dangerous. Okay, queen takes pawn. Where does the king go? It goes to a light square. And the point is that once it goes to a light square, it's going to be, you can hit it with pawn at b4, pawn a4. Yeah, this is just finished. So if it goes here, you can just go here. What? No, no, no. This is mate. This was easily mate. You just need to go pawn here, king takes pawn. I don't know. I'm like, you might need to take bishop takes pawn just to prevent en passant, but this was a mate, and we'll show after the game. But he goes for just defending everything, and king is quite safe now is the problem, because the bishop is guarding this square, and he's always got this square to drop back to, and these bishops. Bishops are wonderful defenders in Crazy House. A lot of little things. So yeah, the tactic here for white is going to be at some point to open up to open up this file, because if the rook were to get into the game, then it's all over, and the pawn can't push because it's pinned. So that will surely be fine. And the only concern is does black? Oh, yeah, black doesn't have anything immediate on the white king, so this is fine. But it doesn't open up the file, so it's the only problem. So I think this was better. Well, again, we're going to have to check after the game. It's mate. Pawn. Well, the knight covers, but it will be mate. Okay, and the Sexy was adding 15 seconds. Maybe littleplotkin was having connection issues. But okay, look, just run through this game again, and maybe even just do it with. Okay, so for pawn block, so black is doing quite nicely, but this wonderful tactic. I mean, this is a beautiful mating tactic. Okay, so king e7, queen takes e6, king takes e6. So queen at d7 is mating, but it's a bit more complicated. Knight at d4 is also mating, and the idea is if you take this knight, oh yeah, queen at e6 is mate because the bishop blocks off this square. So he had a similar idea with knight here, so the king had to run the other way. Knight here, king here, knight is pawn check. Oh, so the king is actually safe at this point. Yeah, I'm very surprised. So I thought bishop takes pawn, bishop takes bishop, queen takes pawn. Oh, you can just put a bishop to block. Okay, so he has a dark square defense. Okay, so that's interesting. Okay, so he realized this is not working. So really good I mean, given that he'd messed up the mate, really good comeback. So a3 is definitely stronger than a4 in that position. And just to see what was the correct mating sequence, it was knight to e6 check, maybe, king to b6, queen takes c7, king to a6, drop a pawn at b5, take it, use your own pawns. If you go back, then it's going to be pawn here's checkmate, so you better go forward. But then knight takes d5 is checkmate. Okay, so it required some precise calculation. So with that game, but littleplotkin won it anyway, and takes a 3-2 lead. So a really nice mating combination, slightly fluffed. And again, we're going to see 69 notes opening. Oh, so this is nice. He doesn't take the knight. Interesting. I was slightly worried that there was an opening trap that Plotkin had fallen into. But so the scores, Davy asks, is 3-2. Okay, so just to rewind, check, blocks, he moves the knight, and before taking back the bishop, he goes straight in for a counter. Oh, and the game's continued. Knight takes pawn, king takes pawn, and then takes back. So yeah, well, something's gone seriously wrong with white. Yeah. Although, so materially, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a piece for the queen. It is still holding for now, but bishop takes knight is coming, and knight and queen in combination are a powerful force. Oh, he really is sacrificing well. So the reason why knight takes queen doesn't work is because queen here and queen here checkmate. I see, because the knight is a key defender. That's what this is all about. So the knight on c3 was just hanging, because this knight can't take back. It's too busy. It's an overloaded piece. It's too busy guarding. So the threat now is knight here. Could take this bishop. Threatening mate, but okay, this is also good. Queen takes bishop. This is just wow. So what a crush from Little Plotkin. 4 games to 2. He leads. And we're down e4, e5, bishop e7 line. So definitely very theoretical. And yeah, Saxon mixing up the openings quite a lot. But sometimes feels like he's himself making. That last game he didn't come out of the opening well at all. So something went wrong with his prep. And this game, well, yeah, it's not. This is not good either, because the queen is coming in. I mean, I don't know. I mean, even yeah, does queen takes bishop work? Bishop here, it doesn't quite work. So queen takes bishop. No, it doesn't work. I'm just imagining things, because the knight covers the dark squares and the bishop covers the light squares, but the king can still, yeah, doesn't quite have enough. But that's always something, because this bishop is unprotected. This is always a risk in the position. Queen takes bishop, bishop here, and I've got a rook in hand. I'm not saying, yeah, and a pawn. I mean, it is. Hang on. But okay, you're under check anyway, so you didn't have a choice. So GSVC says, I'm pretty sure I had a game against Mugwort in this position. And the Blauer style says, white or black? Who does it favour? Says Wally the Wombat. He says, I think this is bad for white. I was playing white. Yeah, you're saying it's bad for white. He's only got 3 pawns and a rook in hand, but I think this is a mating threat. Queen takes bishop. And maybe I'm wrong. And maybe I'm just getting obsessed over it. But bishop here, maybe you don't have enough because the king can run up. If the king runs down, it looks dangerous. Okay, but now in any case, d7 is protected, so he doesn't need to worry. So, I mean, in terms of pieces, yeah, I mean, it's fairly level on pieces. Surprisingly safe, the black king. And it's all because that bishop is covering this entry square, the entry square into the king side, and the knight is covering the other potential entry square. So, yeah, white has to Well, no. So he's saying the knight's hanging, but that's no pretty. This is tricky. Bishop takes pawn. Is there a threat? Pawn takes pawn. I mean, king can run, right? Or is it a problem? Queen takes knight is tempting, but maybe because this pawn is blocking. And if you take with the pawn, there's going to be a pawn landing here. So you're kind of forced to take this knight. Uh-oh. Okay, that's another way of playing it. So GSVC says Mugwort in this kind of position played queen at d8. So if I just to rewind just for fun, at e2. So queen. Oh really, just queen defending everything. Queen at d8. Interesting. And really cool that GSVC's obviously got a very good memory of previous games and stuff and such. Yeah, so black is picking up a lot of pieces. Okay, this is a serious threat. Must be addressed. Queen takes b7 is a mating threat. You have 3 pawns, a knight, and a queen in hand. That's easily enough to mate the king. Although having said that, there is some defense with that bishop, but it's not enough. A knight here and a queen here, and a pawn here. A pawn here would be mating. Okay, he uses his existing rook to defend, so keeping the rook in hand for other purposes. Suddenly this is looking uncomfortable. Because he could easily use a rook to defend d8, but then another pawn could be landing on e7. Suddenly black is not doing so well. I guess rook here, like a best hope. But suddenly this king is not looking so safe. In the comments, Wally on Wombat saying sexy not on his game. I think that's unfair. I think littleplotkin has he's played badly maybe in 1 or 2 games, or 1 game certainly, but he's played also incredibly well in other games with really ferocious mating attacks. Yeah, I think. So what we saw in a previous variation was d6, and he should have just taken the knight, surely. But anyway, so there is this annoying pawn on e4, but you can just collect it later, surely. Well, not necessarily. But. Okay, so littleplotkin winning a pawn with that little combo, because the knight defends the bishop. So if you hang on a second. Here, you could just take the knight, but then bishop takes bishop. Queen takes queen, rook takes queen. I guess he was afraid there are too many pieces then staring down on his queen, at his king, and he's not developed enough. Okay, so that does explain it. So it's right. So takes, he takes this way. Okay, he's in the same predicament now. So littleplotkin has actually sacrificed a piece in order to get a lot of play on an uncastled king in the center. So he's got the open file, he's got a pawn in white's face. Rook takes knight is an immediate threat, followed by knight at f2. And then someone says queen a8, queen takes b8, knight at a6. Says DBLSR. It will be a bishop block, presumably. Oh, I see. So you could do that. So you're hoping that with your two knights, the bishop, two knights and two bishops, you can mate. That's actually a good spot. It could be enough, actually. Yeah, queen, bishop there. Queen takes knight a6. I wouldn't even say knight a6. Maybe just queen takes b7. Um, yeah. So I'm playing Crazy House, guys. In fact, I'm not even playing Crazy House. I'm watching Crazy House. So I'm not taking challenges. I should just turn challenges off. Um, so the knights are guarding the entry squares because black has got a queen in hand. So yeah, this bishop at a6 is a good move, guarding all this nonsense we were worried about with takes on b7 ideas. Yeah, but Sexy didn't go for that kind of approach. So black just developing. The bishop's going to be coming to here. It's quite difficult. Yeah, basically we have the position he was trying to avoid of these two pieces searing into his position, making it very uncomfortable. And so you have to guard all these three squares, which he's doing, but I don't know how long he'll be able to continue doing it. Meaning even a simple move like pawn here trying to dislodge the knight looks really, really nasty. So he's put on a second knight. But yeah, this is going to be really tough. Just a pawn here might even. Okay, so we see a similar idea. So one of those knights is going to fall. So which knight is more valuable? Ah, he switches from a dark square attack to a light square attack. He wants this knight. And once he's got a knight at c2 is going to be a problem. So Sexy is actually a very good defensive player. So we're going to see that put to the test here. So is littleplotkin actually. So that knight is guarding. So attack or to defend. So he defends. Check. He doesn't go knight takes knight because although if pawn takes, you have two pawns on the 7th rank. Didn't like that idea. So white's got 1 second to try and find some kind of. Takes the queen. Oh. That's mate because the rook can't take because it's pinned. So nice finish from littleplotkin to take a 6-2 lead in the match. And so he's won the last. It was 2-all. He's won the last 4. So we now go into game 9 out of 10. Yeah, and that actually confirms that littleplotkin is on the score sheet as far as the standings go. And yeah, for anyone watching, I can just post the standings so far in the Crazy House World Championship. And if you want to see, yeah, do check out the blog where. I mean, actually, every single candidates match has been streamed, so do check out the. In fact, if you just go to YouTube, there's and if you go to the playlists on my YouTube, you can see links to all the streams of all the Crazy House World Championship candidates matches. If you go to the blog, I'll put the blog link again just for the sake of completeness. You can see a guide to Crazy House there, how to get better at Crazy House. You can also see links to recap posts about all the matches in the Crazy House World Championship. So lots of really good Crazy House content on the blog. Yeah, Master Tan is still trying to get off the mark. He lost a lot of matches 4-6, rather unfortunately. Okay, so just going to recap through this game again, game 9. So this is looking very theoretical in the sort of setup. Takes, G6. That was a... So there's always going to be a hole on G7, but just going to try and make sure he doesn't exchange off queens or anything silly like that. I think I don't like this move because he's inviting a pawn at G7. Okay, so maybe he himself has ideas. And a pawn at G7 is not by itself going to be enough because he'll need like a rook or some other piece. Okay, so very direct from littleplotkin. Really nice how he's being so direct about this. He could take... Yeah. He could have taken the rook at some point, but then just the problem is queen takes and everything's very well covered. So yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, this looks strong. King will probably, if the king drops back, the knight comes here. So this is really uncomfortable. King has to come forward, it seems. This is uncomfortable for sure. King is running this way. He's now got a bishop on tap, which is going to be useful, but I guess the king can still run here or here. So I think littleplotkin has been quite hyper aggressive, and yeah, is it paying off? We'll see. Rook takes. Littleplotkin's running away. Pawn at G7 maybe. No, he's going for a back rank attack. This is very nice. This is really nice. Knight takes rook and then a rook on the back rank. Us kind of worrying his position was slipping, but this is strong. If knight takes queen, I'm sure littleplotkin's got a mating attack planned with knight here. Yeah, I don't think this is not right. So he's hoping to run away. Maybe he can, but there should be a mate here. Let's see. So a knight here, and if the king ran down here and a bishop here, he's only got one bishop though. He's got a second knight, so he has to run this way. So this is basically saying I'm going to threaten mate in one, not mate in one. I'm going to threaten mate in a few. With maybe rook here and knight here. Okay. In the meantime, black is going to attack, and I don't know if that's too slow. Rook on the back rank, maybe block here. Knight here, king runs. So both both have got quite lethal king positions. You see how the bishop is keeping the king penned in here, and the knight's keeping the penned in here. So they're playing very quickly. Takes the pawn. What's the follow-up? Oh. Okay, is this king getting mated? Not yet. I mean, there was bishop takes pawn. There's still bishop takes pawn, but is there a follow-up? He's going for the back rank. Takes. Nice mating combination. Wow. From Sexton I Know It to take the match 6-3. So I'm going to start that. So I write these sort of recap posts after the event of like the exciting positions, and I also got like a computer study, so you can practice against the computer some of the positions they got in these games. If you want to check any of that stuff out, head over to the blog zhchess.blogspot.com, and you get lots of recap posts from the Crazy House World Championship, practice against computer studies, then other studies with the solutions, annotated games, stuff like this. Lots of good content on that site. Yeah, I think this is what he should have done in the earlier game, just take the knight. Yes, this looks so good for white. So it feels like Sexy is sort of taking a bit too long to warm up in some of these games. Because against, I think it was against Schwanet, he was 6-1 down and then fought back to 6-4. Okay, obvious threat. An obvious defense. There is black could sacrifice bishop, but there's no knight to follow up. There's no real follow up, so he just defends. Just gets castled. Okay, so he's losing a knight, but he doesn't want to lose the knight because otherwise queens get exchanged, and we see what happened in the last game with the white king stuck in the center. You can just take this. Just takes, and then black will have a knight drop on g2, which is a little bit uncomfortable. But your rook will be coming quite soon to g1, so I think it should be okay. So meaning you can take advantage of this g file, the open g file. It's not so bad. Okay, so he's hitting f3. He's going for knight f3 ideas, as well as hitting the bishop, obviously, but he's really going for the king somehow. Maybe pawn at, he's going for pawn at g2, knight at f3. That's the point of this move. Hitting the bishop is just a pretense. So maybe bishop back is forced. But then knight here is quite annoying, because that would be mate. That would be mate, right? If bishop back here, knight here, the king has no squares. You have to go queen takes, knight takes queen, king up, queen here, check, king here, and you're not quite, yeah, there is a mate somewhere, I just don't see it, but yeah, you're getting mated. So yeah, Crazy House is sharp stuff. If anyone new just watching this, you have to really be careful of holes in your position. Okay, so black put a pawn here and a knight here, but he really wants the other way around. He wants a knight here and a pawn here. But this way around he got with initiative, with check, attacking the bishop and so on. But we'll see if he switches them around somehow. Okay, so actually the black king is reasonably safe here. Yeah, the castle king is generally, you have to watch out for at h3 ideas. If queens came off and white had two knights and a diagonal piece, you have to watch out for knight at h3 ideas. There's no, yeah, white's got, so this is check and the threat is at g2, so this is a problem, big problem. Really big problem. I mean, that's it, all game over. It's the pawn he needed. With check, comes with check, and now it's mate. What? Well, it's mate. Pawn takes rook, king takes, pawn here, check, king here, pawn here, checkmate. Rook checkmate, rather. So there the match finishes. 7 games to 3 to littleplotkin. And I'll just update. In fact, I'll just post the standings link. Let's see, standings. Okay, so this is the standings. So we see littleplotkin wins his first match against Sexy I Know It by 7 games to 3, which means that Sexy I Know It correspondingly has lost 3-7. So hopefully you can see this whole board on your screen. So we see that Fumitox has just rejoined the Crazy House World Championship, so he has yet to play games, but his first game will be on Saturday. And in the lead in the Crazy House World Championship is GSVC, with 7.5 games out of 9 and 1 still to play against Fumitox. In second place is 12teen with 7 out of 9 and also with 1 to play. But in third place, or in third place, but with the most potential to reach first place, is Oppa Wazen with 7 games out of 7, undefeated. So that's the current standings. So there we go. So what do we have here? People are challenging me to standard stuff. No. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to have a quick play through the games again with analysis board on. And let's see. Hopefully nothing's getting cut off. Let's just so let's see. I'm just hoping that everything is visible. There's nothing getting cut off on the screen. But how do I tell that? I guess the only way of telling is just quickly. So I'm just going to, for those who are just joining us, I'm going to have a quick playthrough and maybe just highlight. Highlight a few things. Okay, so game one was really, to be honest, quite disappointing because so we have this setup, and I need to turn arrows off. I don't want these arrows. Best move arrow off. Okay, I don't mind having computer evaluation on, but I don't want arrows on the screen because it's distracting. Yeah, e4 is just a really bad mistake in this position. Already this kind of setup for white is fairly passive, and the idea is to slow play it. When you play e4, you're trying to explode open. If you want to play e4, play it on move 1. So play on move 8, and suddenly you're giving black the pawn to dump on h3. You're giving black the exchange of queens, and it's game over. So, and littleplotkin's made this mistake in previous. I think in a previous match, so it's obviously he's just hadn't played for a while and just a little bit rusty. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly check that the screen looks okay. So game 2, or you can let me know in feedback that everything's looking okay. So I think. Yeah, so it seems like Lichess is getting cut off for all the pieces. Let's see, would it be better like so? Yeah, so maybe it was better as it was before I moved it. Yeah, okay, so just to quickly go through game 2 now. Okay, so we're seeing this, yeah, so in this position, the moment black plays e6, my hunch was just take this knight. And at low depth, Stockfish agrees with me. But maybe Sexy I Know It had prepared something different because he went straight away with castles. But I think taking this knight is good because the e-pawn can't recapture. The moment black has played e6, e-pawn can't recapture. So here, f3. Yeah, f3 was quite weakening because and really littleplotkin took really nice advantage of this. So he's now so in game 2 he gets a really nice advantage, gets a really nice attack on these dark squares. So bishop takes h3, g takes h3. He sacrifices his queen, which maybe is not necessary. So knight at f2 is recommended. But okay, and we had this sort of very nice sort of symmetrical position where it looked like black was getting in on g3. But apparently this isn't good for black at all because black doesn't have the pieces to mate white. And yeah, knight takes g7 is a really nice move. And as we saw in the game, yeah, so actually we didn't see this in the game because, yeah, we saw this in the game where white's got a big advantage. Knight takes f5, threatening, well, it's not an immediate threat, so that's but so queen at e7 isn't an immediate threat because the king is just running away. So, I mean, with the benefit of the engine, the key move is e6, threatening. So why can't we just take this? Because then this pawn is this pawn is weak. Queen. Okay, so that was a key idea. My goodness. Yeah. So liberating this bishop, then this pawn on c7 is under fire, and you're just threatening queen at e7, queen takes c7 checkmate. So and the immediate threat of e6 is queen d7. So this is just lethal. All black can do is give checks basically. It's game over. e6, what a miss from Sexy I Know It. And then the game did not go well because then queen at e7, king c8, knight here, king b8, and now white just needs a knight to mate with, or a rook, or I mean almost any piece. He picks up a pawn, so hoping for a pawn drop on g7. But then, so was there a reason why you can't drop a pawn on g7 immediately? See, I didn't see this, and obviously Sexy I Know It did. So there is a mate here for black. So let's see, 2 knights and 3 bishops. So using the bishops, we can keep white pegged to the dark squares, and in fact, sorry. Yeah, this is something quite worth having a look at. So I was very confused by this move, queen to e2, but I guess the reason for it was simply that all these squares are controlled. You can draw the king up, then drop a knight with check, send the king back, and bishop here checkmate. Okay, so that was a very serious threat, and white sought to address it by being willing to give up the queen to defend g2. It turns out the best move in the position is queen d2. I guess because that has ideas. I'm not sure why, but that's very strange. So queen d2 is actually the best move in the position, but queen e2 was played. So queen e2 check here, tries to block off the queen, so now suddenly bishop here, knight here, and bishop here is a threat again. So it just blocks off g2. But knight here, he has to take the knight, and he gets mated. Okay. So, but a really important idea missed in that game was e6. Okay, so it's really good. I guess that's the reason for going over these games again. We see ideas like this which we missed during the games. Game 3, just to play through it. Okay, so we saw this move d5. I'm not sure how often this is played. If I just turn on the opening explorer for a second. D5 is quite a rare move, really very rare. It's only been played 9 times. So perhaps it was some kind of opening preparation. Yeah, knight to e5 is a very natural move. You don't want to go knight to. I don't think you can take that pawn. I think that pawn is poisoned. Because bishop takes f7 is what I'm worried about. Bishop takes f7, king takes f7, knight takes c6. So it feels like white's got too much of an attack on the king. So d5 and defends. Okay, takes e5. Takes. Not even bothering to pick up this pawn, that's probably quite instructive because as a beginner or even as an intermediate player, it's like picking up a pawn which is threatening the queen. You'd think, yeah, why not? But maybe he's thinking this knight is it's nearer to white's king. It's it goes straight in on an attack on white's king. So yeah. So just to see how bad is knight takes pawn. Just maybe you win a pawn, but you lose too much time basically. To the point where like you can't even move the knight back because at e6 is coming in and f7 is weak, and yeah, this is trouble. Trouble is brewing. So you go straight in for the attack. e6 comes directly. Takes. Gives up the queen. Okay, defends. So I thought this move was really creative. Bishop at f8. Because obviously if you take this bishop, you get mated. So just watch the evaluation swing to mate. It sees mate in 8. And the idea is pawn at d7. Knight at e5, and the king is kind of trapped. Maybe it can run out this way for a bit, but this is. Should we play it out? Pawn at d7. If you took here, you go pawn takes rook equals knight. If you take here, knight here. Can we just try and run out this way maybe? Queen d7. Yeah, it's not going to work. Queen takes f7. King takes e5. Bishop here is checkmate. Is it? No, because you can run here, but bishop here is checkmate. And if you try and run the other way, there is no other way. This square is blocked off. Okay, so this is a nice little find. But apparently black does have a resource, which is bishop d6. Ah, I see. So this is all about the e7 square, and this is a quite nice move because it says actually that e7 square is only a problem if the e5 square is also a problem. So by doing this move, we're indirectly now hitting on this bishop, and now that bishop suddenly is looking a little bit out of place. Okay, he can still go pawn at d7, but then we can even take it. And this we're not getting mated here because the knight entry squares are all covered. If there was only one square which could check that king, then we'd be in big trouble. Because then the queen would then land by the king on d7 and so on. So I thought that was quite a creative move. And I guess the lesson of that was not defend d7, but defend e5. Because with this, f7 becomes a problem. You should probably just have taken off this pawn, but with this, yeah, white has mate. Knight to g8, very nice move. King takes pawn. Knight to h6, takes. King goes back. Queen at f, yeah, and I don't know if that was a mouse slip or what, because queen f7, as we saw during the games, is mating. The king tries to run away, but you just block it off. Bishop b. And that's a really important sort of mating idea in Crazy House. It's very tempting to keep on moving the pieces you're checking with already. Go straight away queen takes pawn check, and that will surely also mate. But even better is bishop here check, forcing a block. And you might block with the pawn just to give your king another square to run to, but queen takes pawn actually covers your escape. Okay, but this was missed, or maybe there was a mouse slip or something. And then here, still there was mate, which I was sort of seeing in the game, but I wasn't seeing the full. I thought the king might still be able to run away, but the point is bishop takes pawn is very good. And now this queen comes in, and because the knight guards these two squares, the queen is just going to come all the way in. You can block, but the queen will just take, and it's checkmate. Okay, but that we didn't see that in the game. We saw bishop at f4, blocks, takes the pawn, and I guess it's just white's attack is too strong and black doesn't have any pieces anymore to attack with. You can go pawn at g2, but bishop takes g2, so everything's covered. So in this position, white resigned. So to go to game 4. Yeah, so this is another one of these. So actually, littleplotkin had a really nice attack, I felt, in this game. So I thought he was doing really well. So he sacrifices his queen, but still, but maybe it's too much. Yeah, so it's actually white who's mating. He can't afford to take that pawn because of queen at d6. King c8, and then he has another knight. Yeah, so let's just show that just for queen here. If the king goes back here, pawn here is checkmate. If the king goes back here, then knight here is checkmate. So either way is mate. So he runs, but now you've got too many pieces on the back rank. If you block the rook, it's still no good. He doesn't have a rook. What? Okay. So yeah. So that was a crush from 609 Next game, game 5. Yeah, I mean that was surprising though that last game, because I do want. Actually, let's go back a second to the last one. Like at what point did that attack go wrong? I'm really quite curious because it feels like. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just really great defense from 609. It's never really it's the sort of attack where if you make a mistake, you're suddenly losing, but he never really made that mistake. So again, I would have taken the knight here, but instead this happens. Okay, he didn't make the mistake of going f3, so that's good. But instead he went h3, so he improved on his previous game. Takes. It's really hard to say what littleplotkin actually did wrong here. It's just very well played, just solid game. I mean, maybe sacrificing the queen was too much, but no. If there's any point, okay, yeah. If there's any point in the game where maybe a better move could have been played, maybe it's here. Knight to f2. The idea being, if you just move the queen, you have bishop at h2 checkmate. That's a rather pretty checkmate. So that knight has to be taken. Takes check. And again, if you just go, okay, so it's not mate, but if you go here, there's a threat of bishop at g3 and rook at h2 checkmate. But if you take it, there's still bishop at g3 coming. Yeah, so this is not by any means, black is not crushing at all here. It's probably equal, but this is probably the closest to making the attack work. So exploiting knight at f2 and bishop at h2 as a mating pattern, and then rook here. Rook takes bishop. Okay, so you have the white king out in the open, and I think this would have been a much tighter game had it gone this way. And how would white defend? So bishop at f4 and then just try and run away, potentially. This square you're worried about, yeah, then black has no knights in any way. It's fine. Knight takes e5. Okay, I mean we're just going deep into why would you want to pawn, because bishop at h4 check, king h2. So yeah, I mean white is actually fine in this line, sacrificing too much. But yeah, okay, so that was game 4. So going to game 5 now. So we see knight e5, the much more usual move in this opening. Bishop drops back, and I'll just turn the engine on. So yeah, what has white done wrong here? Because I guess more usual is knight c3, but it just somehow white's given up. I see, so the opening advantage has been lost because bishop c4 is usually played first, but I'm not sure why it makes, before d4, I'm not sure why it makes such a big difference, but Stockfish reckons it does. So it defends the knight. So yeah, Stockfish says black's got a slight edge here. And yeah, we saw this. Well, yeah, this is crazy. He takes the bishop instead of taking back the knight. Taking back the knight is essential though because of this this discovered attack on the king. If you take the knight with the pawn, queen takes queen is coming, and that's checkmate. In a couple of moves, with pawn here and then queen to e8, checkmate. So you have to do this: queen takes queen, king takes queen, and now what I was considering was queen here, king takes knight, and I'll cheat and use the pawn here, king g6, knight to h4, king to h5, queen takes knight, check. Maybe he blocks, but now we have another knight in hand, which we can use to push the king even further up. King takes knight, knight takes f5 check, so the king could return here, or you could take the knight. If you take the knight though, you're opening up the queen, so g3, king g4, f3 is checkmate, so probably returning is best. g4 check, so remember this pawn is protected, so you have to go king takes g4, f3, knight now is guarding the two dark squares, so king has to go here, and your last pawn is checkmate. So I was contemplating, I didn't get to the end of that line, but I saw up to here, and then I wasn't, yeah, I hadn't seen up to queen takes knight, but that is indeed mating. But there's a much neater way of mating, which is noticing, which as littleplotkin did, that if you put a knight here or here, then that actually protects this knight, because if the king were to take the knight, queen here is checkmate. But turns out knight here is stronger because it guards more of this. King has to run in this direction, and it blocks off this square, and this square is already blocked off. So it's basically forcing the king either to go here or to go here. So these are the two paths for the king. And it's really worthwhile when you're thinking about these things to think of what are the paths for the king. So if the king were to drop down, then we see its mate immediately, just with queen e7 and queen d6. So he has to run here and try and go for this path, which is not promising. So if we go queen e6, king c5, now there's I'm just going to do this move. It may not be the best mating sequence, but it's a very nice pattern. When the queen and the knight form this sort of formation, the knight covers the dark squares and the queen covers the light squares. So the king was forced to escape this kind of this box. So do something like this, but then you have a4 and b4, the knight could come in here. Okay, so and pawn d3 checkmate. Okay, so that would be a rather long-winded checkmate. There's actually something even quicker, which is just queen takes d5. If the king comes back, queen comes across to here. If the king goes forward, queen still comes across to here. And that would have been a much stronger mate. So putting the knight in the center of the board controls a lot of squares on the queen side, and those two squares mean the queen can just go from here to here to here and checkmate. Whereas what happened in the game was the knight went to here, which is still mating, but then required accurate play. So it turned out knight to e6 was better. So you get in from behind the king and push the king towards your pawns. Going this way, normally this would work, but surprisingly it doesn't quite work. Somehow the bishop offers good defense, and if you take this pawn, you can drop a bishop in defense. But all the more kudos to littleplotkin here, because having failed in his attack, he still kept his composure to not to pick off the pawns attacking his king, and complete the mate. But again here, a3 is crushing, just opening up the rook file on the black king. Instead he went a4, which is not really so good, but yeah, knight at f3 check. It was strong here, with the idea of king h1, knight takes bishop. But yeah, it's very unclear. A takes b4, bishop takes b4, and so on. But anyway, instead, king tried to run away, it doesn't work, and white has a pawn and rook in hand, so completes the checkmate. Okay, so that's game 5. Game 6, and so here littleplotkin started a little bit of a run. So we're going to now look at the remaining 5 games, maybe from littleplotkin's perspective. I should actually, that last game was a very nice mating sequence, so I'm gonna star that for future. And so there we go, star that. And if you're interested in the highlights of stuff I starred, yeah, if you look on the Crazy House blog, I posted lots of study links of highlights from the Crazy House World Championship, and that's a blog of that's the beginner's guide to Crazy House. But there's lots of other content on the site. And the latest post there's links to all the videos of all the Crazy House World Championship streams, and also practice against computer study and studies with highlights from the Crazy House World Championship. So do check that stuff out. Now king d1, black has mate here, and wow. Queen takes c3. The idea being if pawn takes queen, knight here is checkmate. Oh my goodness. And if you don't take the queen, you also got knight here, potentially winning the queen. So knight at d3, just queen takes b2, threatening knight at c3, checkmate. Wow. That was a miss. Knight at c3, king e1, queen takes a1. I mean, you're just picking up all the pieces. Queen takes bishop, takes the queen with check, and you checkmate. Wow. Okay, so that was quite a okay, so what happened in the game? So still littleplotkin won. Yeah, it was just quite a dominating game. So where did it go wrong for Sexton Merit in this game? Somehow, just trying to see what's the turning point. I guess queen takes d2 is key here, which is quite surprising. So you just go queen takes d2, you give up the queen, And what's the compensation? Bishop b5 check. So then I'm still not seeing c6. No, if c6, knight c7, that's not very pleasant. Suppose bishop d7, bishop takes bishop, king takes bishop. What? Bishop b5 check again. Okay, suppose you did go c6 at e5. Okay, so it's not so straightforward. Knight e5 or knight g4 apparently being ideas. Knight here covers f2. Okay, so black has a queen, but actually the black king is not so comfortable. But it's not clear. So yeah, giving up the queen was really important in this game. And then when he didn't give up the queen, we saw here this queen takes knight. Wow, what a move. But that was missed. But it's just dominating. Queen takes bishop. The idea is you can't take the queen because we have another queen landing here. So it's just checkmate. And resigns. So game 7. Okay, so let's have a look. So again, we see this d5 move. And knight at h4. Takes, check. Okay, gets an exchange of queens. Picks up the rook. And thank you. So yeah, GSVC, what a memory the guy has. Said he had a similar game, exactly the same game, exactly the same position against Mugwort, but Mugwort won. So yeah, wow, what a memory the guy has. So takes, yeah. I mean, the evaluation just suddenly flips from like, oh yeah, it's roughly equal to, my gosh, black is winning. Maybe because it thinks castling is better, not to take this rook. So just to see the GSVC Mugwort game. So GSVC played Mugwort. Knight takes rook, knight here check, bishop here check, and Mugwort, who was black, went queen at d8. So targeting this knight. Here, takes. I don't get this move. Bishop g4. Oh, it's a double check. I'm so blind. What a nice move. Wow. Bishop takes, queen takes, double check. Queen takes bishop. And mate in 8 is called. Takes back, you take the queen with check. Oh my goodness. What a game. What a game from Mugwort. I mean, that's a game and a half. I already bookmarked it. That's so weird. Means I'd seen it before. And I was thinking, wow, what a game. And but I don't have GSVC's memory. You know, I see these games and I don't remember them 2 months later. So wow. Okay. So takes the rook. We don't have this queen at d8 idea from Sexy. He has the bishop here idea, but not the follow-up. And I'm sure Sexy will have seen that game. So he goes queen at d8, but just like a move late. So queen at d8 here was the key. Or the previous move. But he goes queen at d8 here, and suddenly it doesn't work out quite so well. The white king suddenly found safety, and the rook can't take the queen because queen here is checkmate, and if you don't do anything, queen here is checkmate, and black has no pieces to defend with. So black resigns. Wow. Game 8. So in this game, little plotkin is black. And there's an exchange of queens and castles. So yeah, I remember this. The bishop and the rook searing into white's position, and it's just going to get worse and worse. But how do you avoid this? Knight at d2. So you need something both blocking up the rook file and guarding f1. But that doesn't work. It thought knight at d2, and then it thinks deeper and it goes, nope, black is winning if knight at d2 because of rook takes d2. So Stockfish really, this is a tough position to play. Oh, knight at e2 it reckons. Oh. Okay. So knight at e2, because that blocks off c1 and doesn't block off the rook file, so I'd still be worried about a potential sack in future on d1. But okay, so knight at e2 apparently was the key move here. But Dublasar suggested something interesting, which was, what if we go straight in on the attack, queen at a8? We have to block with the bishop. And he was suggesting queen takes, bishop, king takes, and knight at h3. I don't think that quite works, although you do have two knights. You don't quite have enough pieces. But even better than that, what about queen takes b7? Oh, if queen, oh, of course, if queen at b8, then of course you've got mate with queen takes queen, and then you've got two knights in hand. So that's absolutely true. So bishop here is forced. But then I'm wondering, is queen takes b7 anything? Because you have two knights and a bishop and a pawn in hand, so you maybe should have mate. So it turns out if the king runs to b6, there will be a mate. If it runs to a8, you've just got pawn at b7 mate. If it runs to c8, you've got bishop at b7, and that will also be mating. It turns out the one square which might not be mating is a6. This computer can't see it yet. So b7, king takes knight seems natural. And now knight at c6. So the king could still try and run back and capture that bishop. But now you have knight takes rook, and your king is stuck in the middle of the board. Is there anything else you could do? No. So this is one way of playing it. So the king is stuck in the middle of the board, and black doesn't have an immediate mate. So if he can't get safe, the game is going to be over soon. So it's not a direct mate. So there are moves like c3 or apparently queen a5 check, but it's certainly a very uncomfortable position. It's not a direct mate, but very uncomfortable. Is there a direct mate? Apparently not. But this is a nice little combination. Yeah. So queen at a8 was definitely a miss from 609 there. And it gave black the chance to defend, and now suddenly, I mean, black is just, I was thinking black's just dominating, but Stockfish still saying plus 0.9. Knight takes d4, rook takes d4. Knight f3 crucial for white here, probably to get castled. So yeah, Stockfish suggesting knight f3, bishop takes knight, just get castled quickly, get out of there, and you're doing fine. But yeah, instead white goes on a bit of a counterattack, and it does not end well with quite a pretty finish from Little Plotkin with pawn at e2 takes, king g1 promotes, knight at e2, king here, knight here, revealed check, so king has to go back, and knight at e2 checkmate. So actually, yeah, really nice checkmate from Little Plotkin. So game 9. Game 9 loading. So game 9, so in littleplotkin is white in this one, and really followed what looks like mainline theory. But okay, something's gone wrong for white already, if it is mainline theory. What's gone wrong? Bishop e7, d3. Maybe d4 is more usual, but castles. Bishop g5. Takes c4, takes back. Yeah, so what, somehow, yeah, black's doing quite nicely here. Takes, attacking. So apparently Stockfish is pondering knight takes e4. I'm not quite sure why that's even under consideration, but maybe we could... Oh, I see, because it's attacking the queen. So if we take back the knight, then we're losing the bishop. So it's a sort of cunning way of winning a pawn. Okay. So... yeah, so littleplotkin got quite a nice hole on g6. Now here I was wondering, do you just take... Yeah, I don't know. Is there any way of exploiting this hole on g7? But yeah, this is maybe slightly too aggressive, it turned out. Was taking so bad? Maybe not so good because of bishop takes b2. So maybe, yeah, maybe c3 here, because this means the queen is defending the king, and it avoids the bishop takes b2. So I think white's then doing okay here. But anyway, so littleplotkin missed queen a5 check. King can't then run back. King has to go to e3. No, e3. That's just checkmate. Has to go to e3. So that was a little bit of a miss. Then queen c5 check apparently is strong. King's got nowhere to go. So you have to do something knight d4, pawn takes knight, and this is just very uncomfortable. Rook takes pawn. Can you even, yeah, I don't know is there any mate immediately, or okay, you just take the bishop, so then, yeah, so the idea being that if you take the pawn, probably even queen takes d4 is getting yourself mated, because bishop c5 cuts the king from running back. King can't run here, so king basically has to run down. Rook d4, king has to run here. Knight. Okay, so there are all sorts of mates, but this is one sort of crazy mate. Knight f5 check. The rook cuts off the king, so you just need to deliver some kind of check to the king. So those two knights together do the job. Another one, knight g4 check. If you take it, rook d1 double check mate, because the rook cuts off this file. Sorry, that's not. It's not mate. Sorry, rook d1 you block, and then bishop takes checkmate. Anyway, lots of crazy mates. But the key move, yeah, the key move was queen to a5 in this position. So that wasn't played. Instead, pawn takes pawn. But black's still okay. The king's running. Loses the queen. And now it's like, does white have anything? The king is just about getting safe. Bishop here seemed like quite a good move, because it's keeping... Rook at h8 apparently is another nice move. Seemed like a good move to stop the king from running away, but the problem is, yeah, now he finds the queen a5. Knight is... the king is just getting away, and it turns out it's black who's... Well, black does deliver then the mate with a nice finish. So yeah, I already bookmarked this. So nice finish from Sexy, I know it. And quickly going to the last game, game 10. So that was also won by littleplotkin as black. And I think, yeah, pawn takes knight, I think is correct here. Yeah. Because in another game, he did not take that knight. So he blocks f7, f2 rather. Yeah, I thought this is knight at g2 doesn't accomplish that much, so he just goes knight d4. Yeah, this looked quite good for black. So he's threatening pawn at g2, knight at c3. So bishop here, knight at g2's. Yeah, pawn at g2 is probably stronger, but so knight here check. Well, he gets the pawn in on g2, and now he gets the pawn he needs. Now he's got checkmate. I mean, he didn't need queen takes queen. It was just pawn takes rook, and it's checkmate. King takes pawn here, and rook in the corner, checkmate. So yeah, what was the mistake white made here? So g2 is a real problem. You have to be really careful. Rook g1, something like this. The g file was potentially a good thing for white because it could be an attacking force, but it had to be used wisely. So knight takes bishop, winning the free piece, as it were, was not wise. Queen takes d5, he takes the pawn is what he needs for g2, and then it's all over. A really nice finish. Okay, so 7-3 to littleplotkin. Congratulations on the win, on the match win, and the next scheduled CWC match will be this Saturday, when we're going to have about 4 matches, or 3 or 4 matches in a row, and they will all be streamed by Janlee Crazy House. So follow Janlee Crazy House on Twitch, follow my Twitch, and also follow my YouTube, because on the YouTube, not only do I collect playlists of everyone, of Bughouse videos and Crazy House videos by all the streamers, but I've also got lots of commentary videos on world-class matches, on these candidates matches, and I also have some fun videos, just hand and brain, that kind of Crazy House hand and brain, and I've also got lots of instructive videos, and in the future hopefully some more instructive videos to help those just beginning in Crazy House get better and get used to the game. Get into the game. And if you do want to get into the game, I'll just post again the link to the blog. Do check out the blog, there's lots of cool content there, and there'll be lots of more cool content coming in future. So thanks everyone for watching. This is OK for signing out. Do remember to subscribe to Janlee, who's streaming on Saturday. Bye guys.